Hey, baseball fans, welcome to my National League breakdown for 2016. My previous podcast episode, we did the American League about a week ago. You can find that up on my channel. So let's get right into it. We started the American League with the AL Central and the American League champion. So we'll start National League in the East, where the New York Mets play National League champions. And let's start with the Mets. Look, I know they haven't been playing exceedingly well up to this point in the season, and these predictions are all before the season. I'm not going to change anything right now, nor should I overreact to a week of games in a 162 game season. But I think Mets fans, will overreact, sometimes, and early on in the year, I think just calm down. The Mets are going to be okay. I know the offense isn't quite what it was, after, the trade deadline a season ago, after they got Cespedes in the mix. He hasn't been, great this year, but this is a very streaky player, and I kind of think they'd be better off without him. I see this as a one-year deal. I see him opting out after the season. I think they kind of overreacted because they didn't expect him to be a free agent still. They plan to go with Conforto in left, Lagares in center, who's a Gold Glover, and his arm. I know he has had some injury issues a season ago, but he looks like he's ready to go 100%. And you got Grenis in the right, and you bring in Alejandro Diaz to be that fourth outfielder. I just kind of think they were ready to move on without Cespedes. He's still out there, and they bring him in, but I it's a downgrade because this guy, I'm sorry, this guy's not a center fielder. I mean, this guy won the Gold Glove last year. First of all, he won the Gold Glove in the American League over Alex Gordon, or just over whoever it was. Generally speaking, you want to tell me Alex Gordon didn't deserve the Gold Glove in the American League last year because he missed 2 months? Okay, fine. Well, don't give it to a guy who played half the season or 2 months of the season in the other league at a different position. It just doesn't make any sense. He's got a great arm. He just is not a center fielder, and especially when you have a guy like Lagares who is a Gold Glover. He won it in 2014 in center field. I'm sure I mentioned it in the previous podcast. I value defense more than anybody, more than typical baseball fans, because I watch Kansas City all the time, and it's just so much. It just gets overlooked so much. Everyone loves offense. Everyone loves run production, but preventing runs is just as good. And I think with the Mets, and you have a pitching staff like they do, it's just, you don't see this very often. This group of starters, all of them. And Noah Syndergaard, my goodness, is just unreal. You gotta field your best defensive team, and that's Cespedes in left if you're going to have him on the team, and Lagares in center, and not and Conforto, great, his bat's ready, and he's you're probably better off not bringing in Cespedes, which is why like I said before, that's what they were going for anyway. That's what they planned, Conforto in left and Lagares in center, but instead Cespedes is in the mix, and he's going to hit the home run, but you're going to hit 30 home runs, you're going to strike out 150 times, it comes, and he's a streaky player, and 150 is greater than 30, so, more often than not, it's going to be frustration. He's never been the great average guy, he's never been a big on-base guy, but he'll bring excitement, but I just don't think it's worth what they're paying him. But I think this pitching is so good, as long as they get enough, because go into other teams later on. I think this is still the best team in this division, because I just don't think other teams are that good. I could be wrong, but my next team is not Washington, it is Miami, and Miami is a team that just everything went wrong for them last year. Henderson Alvarez got hurt. He was 5th in the National League in ERA in 2014. Jared Saltalamacchia was released. Steve Cishek got traded. Now he's with Seattle, and he used to be one of the top, more consistent closers in the game. Marcell Ozuna got demoted. Stanton got hurt. Mike Redmond was fired like in the first month of the season. The only positive for them was Dee Gordon winning the batting title and giving a new contract extension. Christian Yelich, I can see winning a batting title. I could see Fernandez. I mean, man, the yellow night at Citi Field, Fernandez and Syndergaard can't get much better than that. But I just think there's too much talent on this team for it to all go wrong again. I'm not the biggest Don Mattingly fan as a manager. Barry Bonds as a hitting coach. I mean, we know what his numbers speak for themselves in his career. We'll see. I mean, it's a new role for him. But I just look at this team. I like Wei and Shen. I think they're gonna be better than people think. A lot depends on Stanton and Fernandez. But it's kind of a hunch. But I have them in second place. I have them ahead of Washington, who I do have in third place this year. And I said last year that they were not going to make the playoffs. And I was right with that. I had the Marlins winning the division, not the Mets. But I was right in saying that they were not going to win. And look, Matt Williams, manager of the year in 2014. I'm not the one voting there. To me, I just didn't see it. Now he's without, he's not there anymore. You love Dusty Baker. He's going to be a good fit in that clubhouse. And I always said, with this team, the Nationals are going to take off when Bryce Harper has that big breakout year. Well, he did a season ago. He won the MVP at 22 years old, and they still didn't make the playoffs. So, it's just maybe more of a hunch than anything else. I just look at this mix of this team of players, and I just think they're overrated. I really think their best chance to win was when they shut Strasburg down in the postseason in 2012 there. So, and speaking of Strasburg, this is his free agent year. The hype was there. It was first start against Pittsburgh. He struck out, I think, 14 guys. And everyone expected him to be Walter Johnson since then. Well, he's been good. He hasn't been spectacular. So, you love Scherzer. The rotation depth is there. The bullpen, you got Papelbon there. Storen's not there anymore. You traded him to Toronto for Ben Revere. Maybe Dusty turns it around, but to me, I just look at this team and I just, like I said before, I did say this in my American League One episode, chemistry is important, and you cannot, you just can't buy that on the free agent market or, what have you. And teams like the Nationals and another team I'm going to get into here a little bit later on, I just don't see the chemistry thing with them, and I think you get into October, a short playoff series, it can come back to bite you, and it has with this team in the past. So I have him in third, around 500 probably. And Daniel Murphy, he's been on fire right now. I tell you, Mets fans know how good of a pure hitter this guy is. I really think he should be playing third base. He's not a second baseman. I've been saying that for years. I think Rendon will be better at second. But right now Murphy's hitting, so I think they're okay with that. Steady presence in that lineup, but we'll see where it goes. I just think he's a better fit. Again, me in defense, not many people value defense, but everyone loves offense, which is understandable. But when you have pitching, you got to back it up with defense. You got to do, because taking away runs is just as valuable as scoring them sometimes. Bottom two teams in this division, you got the Braves and you got the Phillies. I will say with the Phillies, a couple years ago I predicted, just crazy 105 loss season, which I was incorrect. But the point of that was they gave their guys too long, contracts for, they stayed with their core group of guys, which won them a World Series in 08. But they kind of wrote it out too long, and Ruben Amaro made some moves last year to kind of bridge the gap. How about Matt Klentak coming in? You turn Ken Giles into, a bunch of players from a loaded Astros system. You get J.P. Crawford, or you have Mark Appel, rather. Crawford's in there. Nick Williams and Jake Thompson, Jorge Alfaro. You got and Nicole Hamilstein from the Rangers. You have Aaron Nola in the rotation. Michael Franco looks like a keeper at third base. You pluck a Dubal Herrera in the Rule 5 draft. Tyler Goodell in the Rule 5 draft. You got Danny Stump from KC in the Rule 5 draft. Had his suspension here. Yes, it actually just came down yesterday. The 80-game suspension. But they're getting some young players in there, and the system wasn't very good. Really, this time last year, it wasn't that good, but they made some moves, and I think this process is going to be quicker than I thought it was going to be when a couple of years ago. And the Braves, it's the same story, but John Hart, and my God, John Hart, miss him on MLB Network, but everyone's going to talk about the Shelby Miller trade, and that was a great trade for the Braves. For sure, you get Dansby Swanson to go with Ozzie Albides there, shortstop, two of the top shortstop prospects in the game. Andrew Inciarte, who really is a great player, and Aaron Blair is going to probably be in their rotation this season. Turner Anderson Simpson, Sean Newcomb, and Chris Ellis. And I mean, their system right now is just it's really top notch. It's going to be probably a long season for the Braves. You got new ballpark opening up next season, 2017. But these bottom two teams, it's going to be a long year, but they're definitely on the right track. So you look at those two teams there. I see the Mets, Marlins, Nationals. I have the Braves ahead of the Phillies right now, but no, those two teams, they're going to be picking probably top 5 of the draft next season. But it is a process, but I think they're ahead of the game from where they were a season ago. One thing with the Phillies, Jason Groom, one of the top prospects in this year's draft. I was looking forward to seeing him pitch this week in the Red Bank, but the whole thing with his ineligibility, transferring back from the IMG Academy in Florida back to Barnegat High School, which will be pretty cool if the Phillies take a kind of a hometown guy, number 1 overall this June, but we'll see. But I was looking forward to watching him pitch live. Would have been pretty cool, but alas, wasn't meant to be, I guess. So anyway, off to the Central. And I'm going to start with the team that, I don't know why, but people just overlook this team consistently. Just overlook the Pirates. And to me, the Pirates, the last 2 years in the wild card, you run into Madison Bumgarner in 2014. You run into Jake Arrieta in 2015. They're not going to deal with that nonsense this year. They're winning this division. I'm telling you. They are winning this division in 2015. I love Garrett Cole, that outfield, Starling Marte, Andrew McCutchen, Gregory Polanco. There may not be a better outfield in the game than that. Francisco Liriano, Bryce Searage, he the opening day this year. Really just resurrected his career with once he signed with the Pirates there. I really like this team. Jung Ho Kang at third base. Neil Walker's up, but you got Josh Harrison over at third. You got Josh Bell, waiting in the wings. It's amazing. Francisco Cervelli and Chris Stewart were the Yankees' backup catchers a couple of years ago, and now they're starting for the Pirates. So Russell Martin leaves for Toronto, a couple of years back, and now they just plug in these guys and this pitching staff, the bullpen, Mark Melancon in the free agent year. I expect big things from the Pirates in 2015. My second team in this division is the Cardinals, and I know everyone's going to, I'll get to the team everyone wants to hear in a minute. The Cardinals, though, I know last year it wasn't, at the end there with their offense, and their offense is kind of struggling still right now. If Jaime Garcia can 13 strikeouts, 1 hit, complete game shutout the other day, they're going to be, this is going to be a dangerous team. Yeah, bringing Mike Leake to go with Michael Wacha, Carlos Martinez, Adam Wainwright, Yadier Molina's there, and obviously Randall Grichuk, Stephen Piscotty. It's just these Cardinal guys, Colton Wong, that day, just kind of plug in and they just kind of take off. And I do agree that they're not quite the elite level club that they were in the past, but this is still a playoff team to me, and playoffs will be in the next episode, probably my last one for now. But this is a very, very good team. Do not overlook the Cardinals because they are still a very good team, and they got Jeremy Hasselbaker now in the outfield. They just keep finding these guys. It's crazy. So now everyone's wondering, how on earth do you have the Cubs in third place? Well, it's a very good question, and I will break that down right now. Look, I mean, I want to see the Cubs win the World Series as much as anybody. It's been since 1908. It's been over 100 years. Everyone wants to see the Cubs win the World Series. Yes, I get that. So do I. However, I've been mentioning strikeouts, offense and strikeouts, and defense. I mean, Kyle Schwarber goes down. You don't want to see that. Absolutely not. His bat is special, but he's not an outfielder, and he simply is not an outfielder. So, but I mean, they don't really need to get his bat in the lineup because just plug Jorge Soler in left field now. So, that's that's not gonna make or break this team by any means. Chris Bryant was, I think, second in the National League in strikeouts last year at 199. It's a lot of strikeouts. You bring in Ben Zobrist, who's going to probably help cut that down. But, the swing and miss offensive approach, I mean, let's face it, they were overmatched by the Mets in the NLCS last year. Did not have the lead in the series once. And in the playoffs, you're going to get good pitching. And when you get good pitching, when you have your swing and miss approach offensively, more often than not, you're not going to, get very far. You love Joe Madden. I love Joe Madden, obviously. But I really just kind of think that this pitching staff that everyone seems to love, I just don't see it. I mean, Jake Arrieta, it was ridiculous in the second half of last season. Can you do that again? Now, there's no way he's doing that again. I think he's going to be good, but we'll see. I mean, so far so good. I want to see it do it, a little longer than that. I mean, he's with the Orioles, he's been a different guy since, with the Cubs. He came over to the National League, but, great athlete. But, I just want to see him do it a little bit more. I honestly think John Lester has seen his better days behind him. At the big contract that they got. John Lackey, he's not wearing that Cardinal red anymore. And one thing I've seen over the years with pitching is when you take off that Cardinal red, you're not the same guy. So we'll see what Lackey does, but I just don't think, at age 36 now, he's had a great career. But he's not wearing that Cardinal red anymore, so we'll see. I just don't think he's, going to be as good as he was previous years with the Redbirds. And then Kyle Hendricks, Jason Hamill, neither of them really get me excited. So, and the bullpen, Hector Rondon, he's solid in the ninth inning, but Jason Mott's there. I just don't know. I don't think this bullpen's that great, nor this rotation either. And I know they're going to score plenty of runs. They're also going to strike out plenty of times. You love Edison. We know their offense is, fantastic upside, and it's scary to think that what they're going to be in a couple of years when they're all not 23 years old anymore. But, everyone, bring in Hayward. We're going to play him in center field, which is, good thing they got him in right, because then they just come out of the blue and bring back Dexter Fowler out of no man's land. So, You play Hayward, and he's not a center fielder. It's out of position. You can pay him 8 years, $184 million, or whatever it is exactly. You get the point. You got to play him in position, not out of position. So he's in right, And then you have Fowler in center. You got Bryant. You love Addison Russell. I'm sure the A's love to have him, but it is what it is now. Ben Zobrist, Rizzo. You love Rizzo at first. You love the offense, but it's definitely a bold prediction. But every year, last year you had the Team of the Year South, the White Sox, you had the Red Sox, you had the Padres, all making big moves. Everyone thought they were going to go to the playoffs, 4th place and 5th place. They weren't even close. So, I'm not, I just think the one team that everyone has as a favorite, it's baseball, anything can happen, but generally speaking, in this game, the favorite, they just don't win. They just don't. And then they're going to be a winning team. But I don't think... I don't have them making the playoffs. I do not have them in. So, It's sometimes you gotta make some crazy predictions, and this probably will be one of mine. If they make it, great. I'll be as happy as anybody to see them in. But that's just what I have. Gotta go off the page a little bit sometimes in this game. Reds and Brewers. First off with the Reds, I applaud them in their return for the Johnny Cueto trade. Brandon Finnegan's looking more and more like a starter every time out. Threw 111 pitches. Took a no-hitter into the 7th against the Cubs. Changeup's coming along nicely. Left-hander, John Lamb, he's injured. Left-hander. He'll come back and give him innings. I tell you, Cody Reed is a special pitcher. 6'5", 225 left-hander, Northwest Mississippi Community College. Second round pick in 2013 by the Royals, and I looked at this trade when it was made last year, and when it was announced, I'm like, if I'm dating more, I don't know if I'm trading Cody Reed. Sometimes, guys, it just clicks with some guys, and it clicked with Cody Reed. He's got those glasses out there on the mound, 6'5" left-hander, and throwing in there 97, throwing darts, really. I mean, I do applaud them, and I wish all those guys the best, obviously, moving forward, because, the Reds, they've been playing pretty well so far this year. I don't think they're going to be in the mix, but another team that's rebuilding effort has done okay so far here. Getting those arms in there in the system. Jesse Winker's there in the outfield, Robert Stevenson, Amir Garrett, Jose Peraza, Rookie Davis. They got in the Chapman deal from the Yankees. They got Peraza from the Dodgers and the Todd Frazier 3-team swap, and then Curie Mella, the right-hander, they got from the Giants in the Mike Leake trade last trade deadline. This team still has Jay Bruce right now. Brent Phillips, Joey Votto. Still got some players. Zach Cozart, Eugenio Suarez is off to a good start. A lot of young arms. J.J. Hoover closing games right now. And that's a great ballpark to watch a game at. No doubt about it. It's gonna take a little while, but I think again, if you're a Reds fan, you got a lot to look forward to. And the Brewers, it's the Brewers, but you love Orlando Arcia, and I'm going minor leagues here because that's really kind of all you're looking at with this team. The Carlos Gomez Mike Fiers trade, Brett Phillips, Domingo Santana, Josh Hader, fantastic return. For a year and a half with Gomez and Fiers, he's alright. I think he's a mid-rotation guy. Trek Clark, first rounder last season. I think Lucroy gets traded at some point. Get more young players. But they made their run back in 07-08 when they got Zach Greinke and Sean Markham there. Went to the NLCS one of those years, and that was their run. But got to keep talent coming, and they're getting there. They're working on it. The 2014 draft, everyone loved Cody Medeiros, Monte Harrison, Jacob Gatewood. Harrison and Gatewood have questions with their hit tool. Those are high upside guys, high risk, high reward guys. Medeiros, I believe, is in A-ball right now. Left-hander out of Hawaii there, high schooler. But, it's going to be a process. And in this division, you have the Pirates, you have the Cubs, and you have the Cardinals, who are not going anywhere anytime soon. So if you're the Brewers and the Reds, you got to build the system up. And that's what they've done here. And they're not going to be in the mix this year, but they're on the right track, both of those teams. Now West. So it's an even number. It's an even year. It's 2016. The Giants won the World Series in 2010, in 2012, and 2014. Do I believe in this even year of magic for the Giants? I do not. However, I do look at this team and say they're going to win this division again. It has nothing to do with the year, but I look at this team, and Jeff Samardzija was the worst pitcher in the American League last year. The worst. Led the league in ERA, hits, and earned runs. It was bad. 4.96 ERA, hits, earned runs, and home runs led. That was it. Hits, earned runs and home runs allowed. Get to roll with a 5-year, $90 million deal. And you know what? Knowing the Giants, that ballpark, National League, he'll win them 16 games every year at 3.5. It will not surprise me one bit. He's their 3 starter. We know Bumgarner's number 1. We know what he does in October. Johnny Cueto, again, back out in the National League. I expect him to be, Johnny Cueto with the Reds again. And then you look at this team. I mean, there's not one hole on this team. There is not one. The outfield, Hunter Pence, Denard Span, Angel Pagan, Gregor Blanco out there. And then you have Matt Duffy, Brandon Crawford, Joe Panik, Brandon Belt, who just signed a nice new contract, and Buster Posey. I mean, there's not one hole with this team. There just is not. I mean, on paper, again, the game's not playing on paper, but this is a good team. A very, very good team. And I gotta win this division this year, so it's gonna be another fun year out there by the bay. So that's what I got with the Giants. And I will note again that I made these predictions before the season started. I'm not going to change them right now. I also did this before AJ Pollock tore shoulder or his arm there and is out for the season. So I had the Diamondback in second place. So Zach Greinke, I mean, I've seen him with KC, plenty, back in the day, but this guy can pitch. I mean, it's been a struggle. It's a different adjustment pitching in that ballpark. Shelby Miller again. I know they gave up a ton. They gave up too much. You don't focus on what you trade. You focus on what you're getting back, and they're getting back a solid number 2 starter who has yet to pitch like one with them. But look, I could be wrong here too. I'm not going to change anything. It's a week in the season. Diamondbacks don't look very good right now. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. So, I love Goldschmidt. Would have loved Pollock too, but he's out for the season. So, injuries happen. I still think this team can make a run, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I actually have him in a wild card spot as well. We'll get to that in a moment. So yes, I had the Cubs in third. I also have the Dodgers in third. Remember when I was talking about the Nationals, I was talking about team chemistry? Well, here's Exhibit A of negative team chemistry. You love Clayton Kershaw, but I mean, I just, and Dave Roberts in there now. They have so much depth in their rotation, but they have so many guys hurt right now. It's amazing how many guys they have hurt. It's just their bullpen is. Everyone loves Kenley Jansen, great. I just don't. I don't know. It's just a kind of a feel thing with me. I look at this team. I just don't like their formula. They get to the playoffs every year and lose to the Cardinals in the first round. That's what they do. It's what they do. Last year was the Mets. Maeda looks good. Kenta Maeda looks very good. But there's so many injuries right now. Puig looks like he's kind of calming down a little bit. Justin Turner, unbelievable. A bench player on the Mets, and now he's a starter on the Dodgers. Go figures. Go figure there. But I just think this team is overrated. I just really think they're overrated. Simply put, I just don't like their formula. They get to the playoffs and they lose in the first round. Well, when you have a $250 million payroll, that's not going to cut it. I'm sorry, it's not going to cut it, especially not in LA. So Andy McCullough's having wonder how he's doing out there with the Dodgers, but former Royals beat writer, so it's a team that people are going to come watch play. High expectations. It's kind of a World Series or bust with them, and I don't have them in the playoffs, so I guess it's a bust. But again, we'll see how the season plays out. The Padres and the Rockies. Well, I again, like I just mentioned before about winners of all season last year, the Padres. Everyone loved what they did. Well, what AJ Preller basically did was kind of destroy a farm system and the organization's future in one offseason because he traded away a ton of good young players to win now. That didn't work. You have Matt Kemp in there. He's not new with it. I mean, he had a good year last year, but he's a below average, defensive player. Will Myers, he's playing first base now. Last year was center field. I love their return for Kimbrel after they gave up a ton to get him in the first place. You like Manny Margot, outfielder in that deal. Young players that they need to really recoup in their system because they traded away a ton of them last year. You got the All-Star game this year. That's kind of about it, honestly. Beautiful ballpark. One of the nicer ones in the game is San Diego, but this is not a very good team in the Rockies. Again, it's like you just can't develop pitching in that ballpark. I mean, you just can't. The altitude, a lot of home runs. The outfield is huge. A lot of doubles and triples. But you know what? We could talk about Trevor Story with this team. My goodness gracious, he's just been unbelievable. He's writing his own story. Tulowitzki, moves, to Toronto there. Get back Miguel Castro, Jeff Hoffman. Nice arm there they got. Trade Corey Dickerson, the Rays for Jake McGee. Pitching is, still an issue. It has been forever, it seems like, in Colorado. Another beautiful ballpark, one that I've not been to yet. But Trevor's story is the story right now with this team. But Nolan Arenado is a pretty good player himself. But they're going to score a ton of runs. They're going to give up a ton of runs. It's just the way it goes out there. So in the West, well, let's go back to the East. First, I have the Mets, Marlins, Nationals, Braves, Phillies. In the Central, I have the Pirates, the Cardinals, the Cubs, and then I have the Reds and then the Brewers in the Central. And then in the West, I have the Giants, the Diamondbacks, the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Rockies. And my two wild card teams in the National League are the Cardinals, and I had the Diamondbacks, so I'm going to stick with it and see how that goes. So, thank you very much, everybody, for listening to my National League preview. In the next episode, I will kind of recap, go over the playoffs, talk about my seedings in the playoffs, do that, throw some awards out there, see what happens, and so it's looking forward to it. So thanks again for listening, and enjoy the season.